Every single day, thousands of trucks cross the highways of North America. They carry food, fuel, electronics, construction materials, and almost everything people depend on. But among the millions of wheels turning across the continent, one name appears again and again: Freightliner. To the average person, a truck might just look like a massive machine designed to haul cargo. But behind every Freightliner is decades of engineering, competition, innovation, and a constant battle to build the perfect working vehicle. Because in the trucking industry, being good isn't enough. A truck has to survive millions of kilometers. It has to handle freezing winters, scorching summers, heavy loads, and endless highways. And the companies that operate these trucks don't just buy vehicles. They buy reliability. They buy efficiency. They buy a machine that can make them money. And for decades, Freightliner has become one of the biggest names in that world. But how did a company that started with a simple idea become one of the dominant forces in North American trucking? This is the story of how Freightliner took over the highways. Before Freightliner became a household name in the trucking world, the company started with a very different challenge. The trucking industry was changing. In the early 20th century, trucks were becoming more important than ever. Railroads had dominated long-distance transportation for decades, but trucks offered something rail couldn't: flexibility. A truck could go almost anywhere. It could deliver directly to factories, farms, stores, and cities. But as trucks became bigger and heavier, a new problem appeared. How do you make a truck carry more without making it too large to operate efficiently? The answer would come from a company experimenting with a completely different design. Freightliner's story begins in the 1940s with a company called Consolidated Freightways. The company wasn't originally trying to create a truck brand. They were trying to solve a problem. Their trucks needed to carry more cargo while staying within strict length limits. The solution was simple but revolutionary: move the engine. Instead of placing the engine in front of the driver like traditional trucks, engineers placed the cab above the engine. This was called a cab-over-engine design. And it changed everything. At first, the idea looked strange. For decades, American trucks had been built with long hoods and huge front ends. The classic American truck had a certain image: a long nose, a powerful engine, a driver sitting behind thousands of kilograms of machinery. It looked tough. It looked powerful. But Freightliner saw something different. They saw wasted space. By placing the driver above the engine, Freightliner could create a much shorter truck while keeping the same cargo capacity. This meant companies could carry more freight while staying within legal size limits. And in trucking, every extra kilogram and every extra centimeter matters. A small improvement can mean thousands of dollars saved over hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Freightliner wasn't just building trucks. They were redesigning the economics of transportation. The company focused heavily on reducing weight as well. Because a lighter truck meant two things: more cargo and less fuel. At a time when fuel costs were becoming increasingly important, this was a huge advantage. But changing the design of a truck wasn't easy. Drivers were used to traditional trucks. They liked the feeling of sitting behind the engine. They liked the look. They liked the tradition. Freightliner had to convince an entire industry that the future looked different. And slowly, they did. One of the reasons Freightliner became successful was because they understood something important. A truck isn't just a machine. It is a workplace. A driver might spend days, sometimes weeks, living inside their truck. So comfort and practicality became major priorities. Freightliner began improving the driver experience. Better visibility. More efficient layouts. More comfortable sleeping areas. Easier controls. The truck became less like a simple vehicle and more like a mobile office. This was important because the trucking industry depended on people. A truck could have the best engine in the world, but if drivers hated using it, companies would look elsewhere. Freightliner understood that the driver was just as important as the machine. And this philosophy would continue for decades. For many years, Freightliner remained a smaller player compared to established names. Companies like Peterbilt Motors Company and Kenworth had already built strong reputations. The trucking world was competitive. Brand loyalty was huge. Many trucking companies had been using the same manufacturers for generations. To beat the competition, Freightliner needed more than a good idea. It needed scale. And that opportunity arrived when Freightliner became part of Daimler Truck. This changed everything. With Daimler's resources, technology, and global experience, Freightliner had access to better engineering and larger production capabilities. The company could now compete on a much bigger stage. And this was the beginning of Freightliner's transformation from an innovative truck builder into an industry leader. As Freightliner entered the modern era, the company faced a new challenge. The trucking industry was changing faster than ever. Fuel prices were rising. Environmental regulations were becoming stricter. And trucking companies wanted trucks that could do more while costing less to operate. Freightliner needed a truck that represented the future. That truck became the Cascadia. Introduced in 2007, the Freightliner Cascadia was designed from the ground up to be one of the most efficient highway trucks in North America. It wasn't just an updated truck. It was a completely new approach. Every part of the vehicle was designed with a purpose. The shape of the body, the airflow around the cab, the engine technology, the interior. Everything was focused on reducing costs and improving performance. One of the biggest battles in trucking is against something invisible: air. At highway speeds, a truck pushing through the air creates enormous resistance. The engine has to work harder. More fuel gets burned. And for a vehicle traveling hundreds of thousands of kilometers every year, tiny improvements create massive savings. The Cascadia used advanced aerodynamics to cut through the air more efficiently. The rounded edges, improved mirrors, side fairings, and redesigned shape all helped reduce drag. To the average person, these details might seem small. But in the trucking world, they are the difference between a truck that simply moves and a truck that makes money. A truck is one of the biggest investments a transport company can make. A single truck can cost well over $100,000. And when a company buys hundreds or thousands of trucks, the decision becomes critical. They aren't just asking, which truck looks the best? They're asking, which truck will make us the most money? This is where Freightliner's biggest advantage appears. Efficiency. A truck that saves fuel saves money. A truck that requires less maintenance spends more time working. A comfortable truck helps attract and keep drivers. Every small improvement adds up. For large companies operating huge fleets, these savings can reach millions of dollars. Freightliner built its reputation around understanding what trucking companies actually needed. Not just power. Not just appearance. Results. And that focus helped the company become one of the most common sights on North American highways. Modern Freightliner trucks are far more advanced than the trucks of the past. Today's highway truck is basically a computer on wheels. The engines are smarter. The transmissions are smarter. The safety systems are smarter. Technology has changed almost every part of trucking. Freightliner introduced advanced driver assistance systems designed to make driving safer. Features like collision warnings, lane departure alerts, and adaptive cruise control help drivers handle the challenges of long-distance travel. Because trucking is difficult. A driver can spend hours traveling straight roads, dealing with traffic, weather, and fatigue. Technology helps reduce the risk. But Freightliner's biggest technological advantage comes from connecting the truck itself. Modern fleet operators can monitor vehicles in real time. They can track fuel usage. They can predict maintenance problems before they happen. They can make better decisions based on data. The truck is no longer just a vehicle. It has become part of a larger transportation system. Of course, Freightliner doesn't dominate the industry without competition. The North American truck market is full of legendary brands. Volvo Trucks brought European engineering and efficiency. International Truck built a reputation for durable commercial vehicles. Peterbilt Motors Company and Kenworth became famous for their classic designs and loyal customers. Every manufacturer has its strengths. Some focus on comfort. Some focus on durability. Some focus on performance. But Freightliner found a winning combination: efficiency, technology, manufacturing scale, and a deep understanding of what businesses needed. Instead of trying to build the most impressive truck, Freightliner focused on building the most useful one. And in the trucking industry, usefulness wins. The biggest challenge facing the trucking industry today is the future itself. The world is changing. Electric vehicles are becoming more important. Fuel efficiency is becoming more critical. And governments are pushing for cleaner transportation. Freightliner has responded by developing new technologies, including electric trucks. The idea of an electric semi-truck once seemed impossible. A vehicle weighing tens of thousands of kilograms traveling hundreds of kilometers needed enormous amounts of energy. But battery technology is improving. And the future of trucking may look very different from the past. The trucks of tomorrow may be quieter, cleaner, and more connected. But one thing will remain the same: the need for a reliable machine that can move the world. Freightliner's story is not just the story of a truck company. It is the story of innovation. A company saw a problem and created a new solution. It challenged the traditional idea of what a truck should be. It proved that efficiency could matter just as much as power. And over decades, Freightliner became one of the most important names on the highways of North America. Every day, Freightliner trucks carry the goods that keep society moving. They deliver the products people use. They support businesses. They connect cities. And while most people never think about the truck driving past them on the highway, behind that truck is a story of engineering, competition, and constant improvement. Because the road never stops. And neither does Freightliner. If you enjoyed this look at the history of Freightliner, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more automotive history, and let us know in the comments which Freightliner truck was your favorite.